Hey, it's Quadix here. I got a Discord server now. It'll be the first link in the description. I'm going to be on there every day, so if you want to join, click the link in the description. Check out my Instagram. The link to that will be also in the description. Feel free to DM me. I respond to all DMs. If you have time, please check out my other series. The link to playlist of all the what ifs I've done will be in the description. Check out the community tab. I use that for polls to select what videos I do and more. The link to that is also in the description. Please like, comment, queue as much as you would like, or any other comments you may have, like what if suggestions and more. I read all comments. Make sure you're subscribed. If not, hit that subscribe button. When we hit 10k, I'll do something. I might do a face reveal or one video an hour for 24 hours. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into the video. Roll the intro. This video is gonna be short. Jiraiya considered himself as the biggest pervert in the world, and he was damn proud of that fact. He was also one of the legendary Sannin and perhaps the only remaining sage in the world. He was also a damn good teacher, judging from the notable students he had taught. The three were orphans from the village hidden in the rain. They must have changed their village by now, for the good. Then there was the Yondaime Hokage. The man was in a league of his own, and Jiraiya couldn't have been prouder of the shinobi that his student had became. But alas, he died too early, even by shinobi standard. Then there was his latest student, Uzumaki Naruto. Jiraiya had seen many young prodigies in his life. Hell, Konoha had no shortage of them. Uchiha Shisui, Uchiha Itachi, Namikaze Minato, Hatake Kakashi, his own teammate Orochimaru, but he had never seen one like Naruto. The boy was unbelievably skilled and powerful for someone of his age. He had impressive chakra reserves, excellent chakra control, intelligent to rival his father, all the makings of a prodigy. So Jiraiya promised himself that he would make Naruto a greater shinobi than his father. But there was one thing that Jiraiya had failed to pass on to all his students: the art of perversion. Jiraiya had been a pervert since his Genin days, and had never given up on the habit. When he had taken on Minato as his apprentice, Jiraiya had believed that he had finally found the perfect student to pass his perversion onto. Minato certainly had the looks for it, unlike Jiraiya, and he already had loads of fangirls after him just for that. So it killed Jiraiya on the insight that his students acted all polite and modest and refused to take advantage of it. No matter how much he tried to persuade Minato, the guy had an unhackable will and unshakable will, and was already fixated on that petty red head of his. Not that Jiraiya had any problems with it. In fact, he thought that Minato had landed an excellent catch. It's just that he couldn't get any research material on that out of the couple, no matter how hard he tried. If it was those sullen thoughts that Jiraiya wandered around the village, not even noticing how people were whispering with awe that the famed Toad Sage was walking amongst them right now. So into his thoughts that he was that when he actually looked around him, he found himself walking in a fairly empty Konoha street. Very few people were in the street, and they weren't even wandering, instead just gossiping on doorsteps. Jiraiya sighed, hopping onto a roof as he surveyed the village. His thoughts shifted to his meeting with his sensei from last night. Naruto just saved one of their Jonin from being killed by the Jonin sensei of the Suna team. The Suna team sensei had instructed him to remain in the village for the time being, since he was convinced that they would be attacked on the day of the finals. That caused his thoughts to shift to Naruto. A small smile came onto his face. He had no doubt that the kid would thrash the Hyuga in his match, but immediately getting in the middle of an invasion right after his fight, Jiraiya could not say or think anything for certain. A movement was caught in his peripheral vision, causing him to turn left. His eyes widened with glee upon seeing the sight, and it was all that he could do from hooting and shouting in joy. There was his student in an alleyway across from him, locking lips with the pretty blonde Genin from Suna. Not just any Genin, Jiraiya thought, because he was pretty sure that she was the daughter of the Kazekage. Naruto, the son of the Yondaime Hokage, was kissing Sabuko no Tamari, the daughter of the Yondaime Kazekage. He didn't know whether it was fate or not, but he could care less about it. He wasted no time in whipping out his research notebook, hastily writing into it. Kinky, he giggled quietly, not to alert them of his presence. With a lecherous look on his face after he saw their position, Naruto had Tamari's arms pinned over her head, and both of his legs were in between the female blonde's legs. Ooh, this is good. Go, my student, go! He mentally cheered his student on. His joy at finding his student making out in an alleyway increased even further when Naruto released her hand and wrapped them around Tamari's waist, pulling her flesh. Why is it spelled flush? Flesh against him. Tamari wrapped her own arms around his neck, deepening the kiss further. This is the ultimate jackpot. He's all over her, and it's not just a simple kiss. They're eating each other's mouths. He might be my best student yet, and I haven't even begun teaching him about that. Dry Eye kept his giggling to himself as he gleefully wrote down God knows what in his notebook. I'm not sure. Yeah, no, never mind. That is capitalized when he said I haven't begun teaching him about that. So yeah, just noticed that. Not taking his eyes off the couple for a second, he almost yelled when he almost broke his cover when he yelled in joy when he saw Naruto grabbing Tamari's butt, earning a please moan from her. That did it for him. He kept his notebook aside and just watched him with great pleasure. He knew he would remember this forever. He's getting bold, that's for sure. He's doing it as if he has previous experience, but since he didn't mention any previous relationships, but judging from her moans, she must have no problem with him doing that. I'll just jot this down later. Right now, I'll want to see this to the end. A trickle of blood fell from his nose as he continued watching them without any shame. He almost resorted to dancing on the rooftop when Naruto picked Tamari up, her legs going on either side of him and locking behind his back as the kiss intensified even more. He's really good. Really good. I haven't seen something as good as this in years. Oh, my next book will be breaking records. He kept watching, nodding in equal parts of appreciation and glee as Naruto squeezed her butt, earning pleasure hormones back to back. At this rate, he might even get his cherry pop tonight. He was almost disappointed when the steamy makeout session came to an end, but that feeling was overridden by the immense pride and satisfaction he was feeling for his godson for landing such a girl for himself. He frowned, however, when they seemed to separate with solemn faces. Tamari left, but not before shedding a tear at something Naruto said. Naruto didn't make her cry, that he was sure of, because the boy had the same feeling of sadness around him as the girl. It must have been something serious for them to get like that after a session such as that, he thought. No one should look that sad after a hot makeout session such as that. Jiraiya knew he wouldn't, for he would jump at that chance. But perhaps his reasoning was flawed, for he hadn't had his first kiss in all 50 years of his life. Oh well, time to cheer her up, or maybe embarrass his godson by letting him know of his audience. He finally let the giggles he had been holding in for so long loose. Naruto didn't disappoint him. His keen sense of hearing immediately picked up the giggles he knew were aimed at him. Jiraiya was laughing on the inside when Naruto's face changed to that of horror. The amusement must have shone through his eyes, for Naruto's face instantly went red in embarrassment and anger. Mainly embarrassment though. Era Senin! He leapt towards Jiraiya like a tiger, but his mind must still be idled by pleasure. For Jiraiya dodged like he wasn't even trying. Jiraiya laughed as he prepared to flicker away. Thanks for the research material, brat. He was gone after that. Naruto fumed as he spared out his senses and easily locked onto Jiraiya. He couldn't believe that his first kiss, more like a makeout session, Kurama so helpfully reminded him, was witnessed by Jiraiya, who was worse. What was worse was that the man had made research material out of it for his stupid books. Like hell he was gonna let that happen. Things like that, no matter how awesome and pleasurable, were supposed to remain private. Jeez, that was nice. Chapter 17. Naruto flashed straight to his parents' home. He needed something to calm down, something to focus on. His mind was in a haze. With all his rational thoughts and logic buried beneath a storm of emotions he could make no sense out of. This was the first time he was feeling something like this, and his gut instinct was understandably confused. Fortunately, he had Kurama to talk some sense into him. "Naruto, calm down. Take it slowly, step by step," he rumbled in a calm manner, trying to work the panic out of Naruto's system by pushing some of his yang chakra through it. He could feel Naruto trying to think this through logically, as he had done with every situation before. Naruto registered Kurama's shouts, and upon hearing the annoyance in his voice, he forcefully shook his head. He took deep breaths, letting each one out slowly. It took him over 5 minutes to calm down enough so he would listen to Kurama. He slowly sat down in the living room sofa, right in front of his parents' portrait. He put his chin on top of his joint hands and listened. "Alright, I'm calm now. Sorry about that. I just didn't know what to do," he said in a neutral tone, with only a hint of confusion in it. Kurama scoffed. "As you should be. I really don't see what's there to panic about. You should be jumping in ecstasy instead, having finally had your first kiss with a girl." Naruto frowned a bit. "Maybe you're right. However, even if I kissed her, she is going to be my enemy on the day of the finals. I don't know what I would do. As a shinobi of the leaf, it is my sworn duty to destroy the enemies of the leaf. However, I know that I won't be able to bring myself to kill Temari, and I can't even imagine the treatment a prisoner of Konoha gets." Kurama raised an eyebrow. "What you need to do is slow down. It is not up to you to decide what happens to them. That's the job of the Hokage. Your job is to simply stop them from completing their mission by any means necessary." Naruto thought about it, weighing Kurama's words intensely. He was right. He simply had to stop the Sand from achieving their goal. He figured that he might have to take some lives on the day of the finals, but he could choose to spare some. He got up, his keen mind slowly working out the various possibilities and scenarios as he made his way to the simulation. He already knew that Gaara was the biggest part of the opposition's plan, so he would have to neutralize him by any means. If he could stop Gaara, there's no other trump card that he could think of that Suna can fall back on. He could choose to spare Temari, as she can't do anything on her own. Her other brother was easy to handle as well. Based on his observation, Kankuro was a skilled puppeteer, but he was also a bit of an idiot. Both were a very small part of the entire invasion, the pawns on the chessboard. He removed his resistance seals and set the simulation to level 6. He stepped inside the room and activated the simulation with the seal sequence. As his opponent formed in front of him, he settled into his stance, eyes steely. As soon as the command was given, he dashed forward in a flash step. "I'll figure out what to do." That is where I'm ending it. I hope you enjoyed. Bye.
Wanted a bitch who was on the move, but you on a goddamn late. Got that one in my bed and she just wanna sleep. Fucking up all of the sheets. She only wake up to eat. Do this shit every week. Like why you do that? Crying you wanna be great, but sleeping until the next day. Why you do that?